We're live. It's week 3. Nick's not here, so I'm filling in. Hope you guys aren't too upset by that, especially you, Stix. I hope you're not upset. You don't got your second-hand man here, but hopefully, maybe I'll bring some good luck to your lineups. Maybe take down $1 million. You send 10% my way, 100K for me, 900K for you and the fam. How does that work out for you?
I'm cool with that. Even though the feds will take 45% or something like that. So, because they worked hard building these lineups too.
See, that's binding now. He's got to ship me 100K when he takes down $1 million around like 7:45 tonight. But let's get right into this, man. You know, you got a lot to look at. This is a slate where I got a lot of random people texting me saying, I don't like this slate. It's not so appealing and this thing and that thing because nobody's going to go, checkbox that Raiders Cardinals game that disappoints and everybody's upset about it, but they're not happy going into this slate. But Stix, let's start off the slate with the first game on the slate. Baltimore, New England. Look, my first question to you is Baltimore a sucker's bet? Because that's like the one bet that I got penciled in that I want to hammer this morning. Talk me off or talk me on the Ravens minus 2.5 or Ravens money line here.
Yeah, it's definitely an awkward spread. I mean, I would certainly take Baltimore. That's a stay away for me. Like when the spread's that goofy, I like to just trust Vegas a little bit and see like they know what they're doing. But no Jacoby Myers for the Patriots. I would assume this is one of the slowest games played. They have to kind of spy Lamar to make sure he doesn't kill him with his legs. I think we see a enhanced workload for Ramondre Stevenson today, one of the best pass catching backs on that team. Without Jacoby Myers in the middle of the field, maybe we see Devonta Parker and Nelson Aguilar stretch the defense a little bit, but other than that, like Hunter Henry, I guess he's technically in play. I just want to fade this game completely. The total's so low, it's going to be gross. If you want to play Lamar, Andrews, Bateman, I get it. They're absolute stars, can break the slate on any given week like you saw last week. But for me, nobody in play in my player pool this week besides Ramondre Stevenson. And I'll just have a little bit of him simply due to like 20% of the field being on Dameon Pierce. I'd rather go down to guys like Rashad Penny and potentially Ramondre Stevenson again this week at 4,800.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Pretty much a fade. This game's got an over on there 45. I'm betting the Ravens here. I got it at 2.5. I'm going to lock that. And shout out to Tony Cotillo. He actually called out a Kendrick Bourne anytime touchdown in this game. So if you want to take a flyer with some couch change, you can go ahead and do that. Looks like Dobbins is back. His backfield is going to be muddied. Lamar always in play. But let's shift over to a game that I think you're going to be more interested in. And I think there's going to be some lower ownership. I got the optimizer up at windailysports.com. If you want to lock in for free, use promo code WINBIG. But not too many people look like they're paying up for the Mahomes-Kelsey combination. Stix, what's your thoughts here? And the easy run back of Pittman is definitely in play. He is back. But any love for Jonathan Taylor in a very, very, very expensive stack with Mahomes and Kelsey?
Yeah, I love Jonathan Taylor. I've tried building that lineup with the double run back of Pittman and Jonathan Taylor. For Indy, like the only way Frank Reich can keep this close is to give Jonathan Taylor 30-plus touches. I think he only had 7 carries last week. That's not going to be the case today. You cannot get into a shootout with Patrick Mahomes in a dome and expect to win with Matt Ryan and Michael Pittman as your true offensive weapons in the passing game. So I do love Jonathan Taylor. I just don't know how to make the damn lineup work because with Mahomes, like I want to play Travis Kelce. Indy's going to run a ton of cover 3. So Juju Smith-Schuster is an excellent spot. He's the most targeted wide receiver against the cover 3. Mecole Hardman also runs a significant amount of snaps against the cover 3. He's got, breakaway ability and 4.2 40 speed. So I love Mecole Hardman like always, but I think I'm finally going to prefer Juju in this matchup just based on volume alone. But if you're looking for the home run ball, I think that's Mecole Hardman. Juju's really never going to run a deep route in this offense. He's not very fast, anything like that, but he should find the openings in this cover 3 zone. Probably a week I'm not going to play Clyde Edwards-Helaire, a guy that's only averaging, I think, under 10 carries a game at 6,300. That's not worth it to me. I know Shaq Leonard is still out for Indy, but I want all the Mahomes passing exposure that I could afford. And like you said, the biggest question, though, is how do you fit Jonathan Taylor in there? Because in theory, he's like I said, he's got to get 30 touches against this defense. KC's run defense is nothing spectacular. Jonathan Taylor's probably the best or second best running back in the NFL outside of Nick Chubb. God, that guy is fun to watch. Great game Thursday. In terms of what we were expecting, it at least went over the total. Kind of a fun finish there. Hopefully, none of you guys teased the
Fun for some.
Steelers in the under, because that last play was ridiculous. I had a buddy bet pretty big on that, and that's a horrible way to lose. But yeah, I mean, Pittman's the obvious run back for sure. He will be in my KC stacks just for the passing side of that game script. But I really want to find a way to get Jonathan Taylor, and I just can't do it because I don't know, Jason. My question to you is, with Mahomes only being 5%, Juju probably 5 to 8%, Hardman going to be unowned, Kelsey's going to be 5%. When Mahomes is this low owned, do you need to force Travis Kelsey, or would you be okay with just single stacking Mahomes? Because it doesn't matter. Like, if he's throwing it to anybody else, you're still going to beat the field because he's only 5% owned. So maybe that's the way to do it, is to avoid Kelsey. It's just kind of sacrilegious for me to do that.
Yeah.
But I love where
you're going, because that was a question I was going to actually pose to you. Naked Mahomes actually makes a lot of sense. Like, you don't necessarily have to force it, where Mahomes is so good and there's no Tyreek out there, where I don't think you have to force in Kelsey. You can run Mahomes naked. You can run Mahomes back with Pittman. I think that's the cleanest way to play it, especially single entries, because there's a lot of, tight ends you can get at 4,500, 4,200, 4,600 that just make the rest of your lineup so much easier to create with the running back position, wide receiver position. So I think that's the way to play it. Mahomes naked. I don't mind Juju or Kelsey. I think those are the two safer spots to go to. And the one question I'll throw back to you, actually two questions. How much Matt Ryan exposure will you have at that price tag? Because I think for GPPs, it does make a little bit of sense. And then on the opposite side, I'm alive in a survivor pick. I'm in week 3. I never make it this far. I'm like the absolute worst with survivors. Is the Chiefs the best play, the safest play with Herbert? Questionable. I heard from David Meltzer yesterday he's playing, but are they the safest play to go into Indy and win this game when the Colts are desperate for a win?
I think on paper, if you trust Vegas, it's probably Minnesota at home. My rule for Survivor is I hate playing road teams, and it seems like that's always been a recipe for success, is just to fade road favorites. But I don't know. Casey is so damn good. I've been saying it all year. This is the best pass offense that Mahomes has ever had with his supporting cast there. So I don't mind that play. I think the only other play, I like Baltimore is kind of a sucker's bet. We've established that potentially on paper. It's definitely scary. I'm playing both for the record in cash.
I already took Baltimore. I took them week 1, Rams week 2. So I'm leaning on Chiefs. Chiefs is penciled in right now.
I'm okay with it for sure.
Okay. Let's go to the next game now. This is a game that I think the Saints should win. Baker Mayfield.
To answer your question, I'm sorry to cut you off. 0 Matt Ryan. I'm not playing Matt Ryan.
0 Matt Ryan. Okay.
There's so many good quarterbacks on this slate, and he's got cinder blocks for feet. I'm not interested at all.
Yeah, the guy that I like, we'll talk about a little bit later on. One of the late night hammers potentially. I sent you my lineup last night. But let's move to the next game. We got New Orleans and Carolina. Looks like Kamara is playing. Baker Mayfield is still trash. Saints defense pretty good. I think the Saints should cover here. Might be betting the Saints as well. Carolina, look, you got McCaffrey there. He's always playable. He can break one. He's talking some trash. He was a little hobbled, but at the same time, he's good to go here. So thoughts on this game? Thoughts on anybody really playable with Kamara back? Do you like him at all? Is there any love here? Because I really don't. I'm crossing this game out. Saints defense, probably the best play in the game for me. But your thoughts?
Yeah, 100% fade across the board. I do wish I can get some exposure to McCaffrey, but it's just not the slate to do it, especially when I'm so invested in Mahomes. We just talked about how impossible it is to make builds with him. So I'm on a who plays Matt Ryan? That's gross. But the Panthers defense is going to be 20% owned. So
really?
In cash, you could ride it. Yeah. And GPPs, I think that's the easiest fade in the world. They do not generate much pressure. It is Jameis Winston who kind of just hands you the football if you're the opposing defense. So you could probably lock in 2.5 interceptions. But other than that, I'm not playing a 20% owned defense in the Panthers. So
we learned our lesson last week with the Bengals. You don't want to do it, with Carolina here. Even though Jameis is kind of bad, he should have his full weapons back with, Michael Thomas looking better. Landry Olave is working in a game. And I think you want to line up against Jameis when he's trailing, and when he's winning a game or he should have the lead, he's not going to be the same quarterback. Let's hope he's not the same quarterback here. So for the most part, it's a fade spot here. Now, this is an interesting game here. Buffalo and Miami. I think the opposite of what will happen in this as far as DFS ownership. Everybody's going to see Waddle, Tua, and Tyreek have a big game last week, and they're going to be more on that side than taking the sure thing, which is Josh Allen to Stephon Diggs here. I think Diggs underpriced. We didn't really know how electric he would be coming into the season. He dropped in season-long rankings, but looking like one of the best wide receivers still in the game here, 7,700. I got him in my main lineup right now, my single entry. I don't think you can get a better price on Diggs. And look, if the Ravens can put up that many points, the Bills, if Miami can keep this game close, the Bills can potentially put up 40, 45 in this game because they haven't had to. And their defense, a little suspect with all the injuries here. So I do think this could be electric. And Nick, I just want to know if there was a fan base to stack, it would definitely be the Bills. I saw like highlights of them, on Collins and Ocean Avenue in Miami. They own the city right now. They're all over Miami. It's pretty crazy to see. I hope this team stays healthy. Josh Allen, thoughts there? Are you playing him? How much should he be owned? And where are you at with his combinations and stacks?
So I'm definitely playing Josh Allen. I'm not as interested in Tua. Miami still plays insanely slow, but like you said, if the Bills do the Bills thing, and they've been doing it all year long so far, Tua's going to have to chuck the ball, and you don't have many better receiving pairs than Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. I'm really interested in Gabe Davis. I think Stephon Diggs is a great play. I mean, he's going to be the highest owned receiver on the slate. So in GPPs, I'm not going to go there. I'm going to go elsewhere. Hope it doesn't kill me, and it certainly may kill me. So I'm not going to tell you to get him out of your main lineup because sometimes good plays are just good plays. I love Josh Allen. He is my cash game quarterback now, with potential rainfall coming or heavy rainfall coming in Washington. So it was Jalen Hurts was my cash game quarterback this morning. I did change that to Josh Allen. So I will not be playing Stephon Diggs in cash. I'll probably just run it back with Tyreek Hill on the other side because this Bills secondary is completely banged up. I think everybody's a second string corner out there, and they don't have a safety. So that's going to be interesting. It seems like a smash spot on paper. So it's tough for me to fade, but I'm very interested in Devin Singletary in GPPs because all the ownership is going to be on Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs. And this offense is going to get in the red zone a ton. And Devin Singletary is a gross play by all means. His price is probably a little higher than it should be. He should probably be around 5K flat with Dameon Pierce. But at 5,600 and 1% ownership, if the touchdown variance just goes in his favor, you have so much leverage on the field. So I'm not afraid to play Devin Singletary. Buffalo's got the highest implied team total on the slate. I always like playing a running back with that narrative. So I'm very interested in Devin Singletary. I think he's my favorite play in this game. Outside of Gabe Davis.
Call. Yeah, I really like that call, Nick. I think that's a really sharp play. In lineups that you're not playing Josh Allen or you're not playing Stephon Diggs, you can spike everybody over the top with Devin Singletary. And like you said, all it takes is a 40-yard pass to Diggs that stops him at the 3, and then Singletary gets in. So love that call. I think that's everybody. We spoke to a lot of people on the Win Daily show on SiriusXM, and Singletary wasn't mentioned a whole lot, if any, on the entire 3-hour show. So nobody's really playing this guy who, look, his counterparts keep on fumbling the ball. They're not really productive. So Singletary is the guy for right now. So really sharp play there. I'm with you. Diggs is going to be pretty popular, but that price tag, at least on DraftKings, has me still biting. Now, another game as far as ownership goes is a game that you don't have to worry about weather. You don't really have to worry about defense. It's Minnesota, Detroit. Surprising to me, and it's just due to a price tag here, but surprising to me, the highest owned player in this game looks to be the one and only Irv Smith. So let's get it out of the way right now, Nick. Are you loading up on Irv Smith? Or are you playing Irv Smith? Are you fading Irv Smith? Where are you at cash GPPs, Irv Smith Jr.?
In cash, I'm gonna eat the chalk like a donkey. I hate it. Irv Smith has had one good game in like 3 years.
Yeah.
And everybody's buying now. I guess you're paying for the exposure to the high total and the terrible pass defense in Detroit. So I do understand that. In small field tournaments like the 10-man contest that I like to play there, I will play Irv Smith just because it makes the rest of my lineup so much better. But there's a couple lower tight end or similar price range tight ends that I'd like to go to. But again, when I was just making that Mahomes lineup with Kelsey and a receiver, so Juju, and then running it back with Pittman and Taylor, it like forces you to play Mac Hollins, who we'll talk about in a little bit, the clear value player, like a Scotty Miller or Perryman, and then Irv Smith double tight end. Like that's what made me get off Kelsey a little bit when I was making those builds, because I really do want Taylor for the Kansas City side. I think that's the only way that game really kind of stays back and forth, is if Taylor has a solid game. But Irv Smith and GPPs, I think there is zero upside whatsoever. I mean, maybe Thielen, but Justin Jefferson absolutely destroys man coverage, and that's what Detroit's going to do. So Justin Jefferson's by far the best play. Dalvin Cook is starting to intrigue me, but again, we've been talking about it. They switched from the outside zone to the inside zone run scheme. It just doesn't seem to work for Dalvin. The only way he got 90 yards in week 1 is because he touched it 23 times, but Dalvin's a guy that needs to go outside and break it upfield because he is a little bit of a burner. He's got great vision. The inside zone, he's just getting hit a little too early, and I think that stops his, those long 70-yard Dalvin Cook touchdown runs that we're used to seeing every other week on Sundays. So I personally, I do not like this game at all. I think it's getting way too much ownership. Kirk Cousins is going to be 10% owned. If you guys like it, I get it. But it's a division game. I don't think Detroit's going to go out there and get their ass kicked. I think they'll keep it close. I do like I'm leaning towards the under in this game, but it's also because there's just so much chalk. Irv Smith, Amon-Ra St. Brown, who's on fire, and Chandon Sullivan on the inside of Minnesota is not a very good cover corner. So it makes sense. I'm just not going to pay the peak price for Amon-Ra St. Brown. I hope it doesn't kill me. Like when Stephon Diggs is only $500 more than you, I'd probably go to Diggs chalk, but otherwise this game is going to be a stay away for me, and I'm going to hope a couple other games shoot out, and this one doesn't.
Nick, the two plays that interest me the most in this game, and I'm not a Hawkinson or a Swift guy, but when you see ownership on them, sub 10%, and you see everybody's going to go to Irv Smith, and everybody's going to go with the St. Brown, Justin Jefferson combination. Like that's pretty much going to be the lineup creation for 70 or 80% of the people who stack this game up. Whether they go Cousins or Goff, it's the same player in my eyes there. But I think Swift is kind of interesting to get off of some of that chalk. And I think Hawkinson is interesting too at 4,200. And I just want to mention one thing. I mentioned it in chat. With the injuries in New England, Baltimore's secondary is terrible. If you want to pivot off of Irv Smith, Hunter Henry's $100 more at 3,200, and he might be the number 2 option. Like it's Aguilar competing for targets with Hunter Henry. So you might see Henry playing from behind here in a good spot. But let's go to a question Brian's got. Goff over Herbert. I was speaking to Meltzer last night, and Herbert's really trying to play. Like he's pitching to play. Meltzer was talking to Austin Eckler. So Herbert may play, but it's worrisome. If Goff going early, I might just go with Goff early. And this should be a game where even if it doesn't hit the 53 total, it should be a game that Goff is playing from behind. Nick, your thoughts here? Goff over Herbert, or you have a backup option with Mariota or Lawrence Slate.
That's what I was going to ask. If Mariota's sitting out there, I would say just ride Herbert. And if you get scratched, Mariota's a fantastic play. I have Mariota ahead of Goff this week.
Okay.
But if they're not available, then it's all about your risk appetite. I don't see how Herbert plays. I think Chase Daniel can manage this offense to get a win against Jacksonville because Trevor Lawrence is terrible against pressure, and the Chargers generate like a top 5 pressure rate in the NFL right now. So as long as their defense comes to play, I think that game is not nearly as close as people think. I don't think Chase Daniel will, put up 30 points for this offense, but they could win 21-7, 21-10, something like that, and be just fine. So go with Goff if none of those guys are available in the afternoon.
Yeah, with this question, Bri, I don't think it's too chalky because most people will go to a singular stack. So most people won't go with the double stack on both sides. So if you want to ride it, go all in. I'm not against it. Goff, Swift, St. Brown, and then go with JJ, Irv. Look, you're gonna have some popular guys there, but if this game shoots out, kind of like Baltimore and Miami did last week, you'll be in a situation where you'll be over the field here on that combination. Let's slide over to the next game. I think this game is sneaky. Weather is still nice in New York. I think the Jets can win this game outright. You won't hear me saying this too much. The Bengals are in trouble. Like, Burrow is scared back there. So I don't mind the Jets with the points. I actually got 2 props I like in this game, Nick. I don't know if you want to get down with this, but Joe Mixon over 20.5 receiving yards, and then Corey Davis over 35.5. Our player prop model has them both over. If you want to check out our player prop model, use promo code WINBIG over at windailysports.com. So I'm locking those 2 bets. I like this game from a sneaky shootout potential. Mixon's one of the first guys I want in my lineup. The problem with the Jets, which I never thought I would say, I don't know who the clear-cut number 1 receiver is on this offense. Like, their offense is, from a wide receiver perspective, somehow got good. Like, they drafted well, and Wilson Moore look like they're playing good ball. And then you got Corey Davis sitting there as well. So I think the Jets will keep this game close enough to get full potential. I think Burrow at 6,600 for GPP is definitely in play. I know you're a Burrow guy. Are you a Burrow guy in week 3, though?
Absolutely. He is my main lineup quarterback right now. I am double stacking Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. Like you said, who's the run back? Right now,
play it safe, go Conklin.
I do love Conklin too. Like, that's one of the pivots away from Irv Smith. If you could find a way there, if you look at sports books, like aggregated props and everything, Elijah Moore and Garrett Wilson are pretty much a coin flip. So I love Michael Carter too. Like, the guy is getting 60% of the snaps. He gets 5-6 targets a game guaranteed. Like my game theory, as long as Cincinnati can move the football and score, it's going to push the Jets into a pass-heavy run game or a pass-heavy game script, and that kind of gets rid of Breece Hall. So I think Michael Carter's probably the safest run back, but Elijah Moore and Garrett Wilson, it's a coin flip. So for me right now, my main lineup had the question of who do I want at running back? Was it Miles Sanders or Dameon Pierce? And I don't want to play Dameon Pierce chalk at 20% when Miles Sanders is like 12 to 15. Again, with a team with one of the higher implied team totals. I always love those running backs just due to the touchdown variance. So I chose Miles Sanders, and that unfortunately kicked Garrett Wilson out of my player pool down to Elijah Moore. So I'm playing Elijah Moore as the run back there. Garrett Wilson certainly has more upside, all the red zone targets and everything there. He's a better talented player. Elijah Moore's got some great matchups on the inside of the field too. But I think if you have that big of a headache, Michael Carter's fine because you're getting off of Dameon Pierce chalk. And that's kind of what I want to do, is just pivot around that 5K range where Dameon Pierce is going to be and play other guys in games that I like a little bit more. That's the Devin Singletary. That's the question that I don't know how to answer. Where was it here? Charlie, I think, asked it. Michael Carter or Devin Singletary. I like them both in GPPs. They both may suck today too. So you got to understand the GPP glasses around here to where I'm playing things that people won't be playing. But both game scripts, the way that I'm building my lineups are, I'm fading Buffalo for the most part in GPPs. So I'm hoping Devin Singletary gets a touchdown variance because everything that he does, all those other lineups are just sitting there quietly with Diggs and Josh Allen. And as long as they don't break the slate with touchdowns, we'll be okay. But same thing with Michael Carter. As long as my Bengals are pushing the ball here, then Michael Carter should be in for a really good game script. So I like both those guys a lot.
Stix, quick question. When I asked you before, I assume the answer is above 0%. Flacco, any love for Joe Flacco, Mr. Elite, throwing for 300 yards a game with these wide receiver options? Let me at least, you got Flacco over Matt Ryan, or you have 0.0 of both?
Yeah, I have 5 quarterbacks. I only play 5 or 6 quarterbacks each week in my 150, so I really take a hard stance. The only guy that was under 6K is Marcus Mariota.
All right, we'll get to that game soon, but let's go to a game where this is what's funny about DFS, right? This is what I find funny, and we all fall victim to it. Davante Adams, week 2, first player in everybody's lineup because of this matchup against Arizona. Everybody's in love with him. Davante Adams, best wide receiver in the game, going against Arizona. Let's load up. He gets nothing. He shits the bed. Carr can't get him the ball. Now this week, he's got no Hunter Renfrow. The backup option to throw the ball to Davante is Mac Hollins, a guy that everybody's going to play now because he's 3,300, and nobody wants to play the best wide receiver or one of the best wide receivers in the game. So, Stix, you're the sharpest guy in the room right now. Do you go back to Davante Adams when nobody likes him because he became bad at football? from week 2 to week 3, or do you load up on Davante Adams when everybody kind of got off that ship due to one, bad game?
I love Devontae Adams today. Hunter Renfro's out. The targets are going to be condensed. That makes Matt Collins kind of chalky too. And I get that the guy's playing 80% of the snaps with Hunter Renfro out there. So Matt Collins' job doesn't change. He's going to be on the outside of Devontae Adams. Tennessee secondary is terrible. It's kind of like the same situation Buffalo just had. Gabe Davis was out. I don't want to compare Gabe Davis to Hunter Renfro, but in terms of the pecking order for targets, it's the exact same situation. So it's not like, some people on Monday night were saying that, Stephon Diggs can get schemed out because he's really the only threat. Guy had a career game. So I think Devontae Adams under 10% is a fantastic play, especially with Josh Jacobs coming in sick. It sounds like he's going to play. I can't imagine. I think it was flu-like symptoms. I can't imagine he gets a really good workload or anything like that. Like, I don't know. When I have the flu, I lose 5 to 10 pounds. I can't imagine going into an NFL game underweight. But again, I'm not a doctor. I don't know. If Josh Jacobs is going to stay 10 to 15% owned, he'll be out of my pool. I do love Devontae Adams, but I think I like the Raiders defense more, to where Devontae Adams doesn't really have a ceiling game. I think he's right around 20. But if you do think this game has low-key shootout ability, I think the price on Treylon Burks, this guy is a star. He's really starting to come on. Monday night we saw it, and he's got some good matchups too. He's really tough to cover. Ryan Tannehill just has tunnel vision on this guy right now. So if you want to play a mini stack of Devontae Adams and Treylon Burks, I think that'll be insanely low owned, and I think that's a really good spot. It's just, do you think this game goes over the total? I don't really know. Taylor Lewan's out too, so Derrick Henry's out of my player pool, and he hasn't looked good anyway. He's got a metal rod in his foot too. We talked about that. I'm not playing any of these punt running backs. Amir Abdullah, Samir White. No matter what happens, Jacobs, don't get that cute. I think Devontae Adams and Treylon Burks are the best play on the board in this game. I'm just having a hard time finding interest in this game.
Yeah, look, I think it's just one-offs. It's Devontae Adams one-off or Matt Collins one-off. If you want to go with the chalk and you need some lineup savings, Hollins is in good spot, 3,300. If you want to win a GPP when everybody else is going to Stephon Diggs or, Cooper Kupp or Jefferson or Chase, you go with the guy who has the same talent with no wide receivers around him, and you go Devontae Adams. So I think for GPPs, Adams is in a great spot. Yeah. Great spot, of course. I like the Vegas call as well. There is some sharp money on Tennessee, winning this game as well. So you can play it from both sides. Now let's talk about the elephant in the room, the Philadelphia Eagles, going against the Commanders here. Look, Jalen Hurts, we figured it out now. He's actually good at football. So we're on that side of the conversation now. Tony, if you're listening, Jalen Hurts is officially good now. He's won 2 games, so he's great. MVP numbers on Hurts are through the roof now, which is kind of funny after 2 weeks. But Hurts, great play. Guy's doing it all. He's running the ball a bunch. Miles Sanders, interesting. If I'm playing Jalen Hurts, it's A.J. Brown for me. That's the combination I want. Goddard, fine. Devontae, fine. If you're fading Jalen Hurts, I think Miles Sanders in a great spot. He actually scored a touchdown. Took him like 2.5 years, but got himself a touchdown, so that's always a good look. So I think Sanders, nice value play. If you need value in that mid-range, $5,500 on DraftKings. He will be popular, probably around 12 to 15% owned, depending on what lineup or what contest you're in. We see him on our optimizer right around 13% owned. That will change a bit. He's coming in under Joe Mixon, Fournette, and Montgomery, who we'll talk about soon. I do like Sanders over Montgomery for sure. And talk about the Washington side. That's the side that's a little bit more tricky. Darius Slay looked amazing. Eagles defense looked amazing. Commanders, Wentz, revenge narrative, Curtis Samuel, Dotson, Gibson. Do the Commanders keep this game close? And this was the other team, I was thinking about, picking my survivor pick and going the Eagles. But just this, in division road game kind of worries me a little bit. That's why I lean on the Chiefs side of things. So, Nick, talk about the Commanders first, because I think that's the trickier side, because obviously Jalen Hurts is a smash play in this spot.
Yeah, I don't like it at all. I love what you said about Hurts. I think it's fine cash game play and everything. I really think Washington has a very hard time scoring today. Their implied team total is 20.5. So even Vegas doesn't respect them at all. They're a 6.5, 7-point dog at home. Give me Miles Sanders and the Eagles D paired up. No one's playing the Eagles D today. They are going to make Carson Wentz is not good. He looked terrible for the first half in Detroit. I don't know why Detroit just kind of went to prevent defense the whole second half, and Wentz got all his points in garbage time against garbage defense like that. So I continuously want to pick on Carson Wentz because one day it's coming. The 4 picks, pick 6, it could be today. I want the Eagles D and Miles Sanders.
There you go. And David, Sanders fits that role. There's a couple other guys who fit that role at 5,600 sticks on DK. If it's
Miles
not
Sanders.
doesn't have to be this game. You mentioned Michael Carter, a little bit lesser owned as well. If you can get up, I'm not really. What's your thoughts on Samuel here? He's getting a lot of action, getting a lot of targets, but it's a tough matchup for him. Are you totally off of Samuel?
I think he's really good for cash because he's clearly schemed in to be the number 1 target in this offense. He gets a lot of carries, everything like that. If the weather does get bad, his short routes and his carries, I still think make him viable. But again, I'm slowly fading away from everything Washington and just going Miles Sanders, Eagles defense.
I'm with you on that. If you don't want to go with a safer play in Sanders, I think Juju has some upside for GPPs at the same price tag. Let's slide to the next game. We got Jacksonville and the Chargers. Nick, I'm going to be selfish again. I'm in the Win Daily League. Somehow, for everybody listening, I'm just going to put this, out there. You got the dream cupcake matchups. You should not be 2-0. Your team's not that good. You face 2 teams that couldn't put up 80 points, and somehow you're tied for first with me and one other person in our Win Daily League. So
it's all about the matchups, man.
Yeah. You drew the favorable
just managing my way through.
First 2 weeks. But look, question for you. We're not playing each other, so you can root for your partner here for a second. I got Josh Palmer, Everett, and Mike Williams. If Herbert plays, do you feel safe going with those 3, or should I slide Corey Davis in? My team's a little hobbled, got some injuries here. Do I slide Corey Davis over Josh Palmer or run all 3 against Jacksonville if Herbert plays? If Herbert's out, I'm going Corey Davis. And I might not know, so I might just slide Corey Davis over Palmer right now. It's tight. And Keenan Allen, as of right now, we're both assuming Allen's playing. Herbert is 50-50.
I'm assuming they're both out.
Oh, that changes things. If he's out, but I don't know. Would you run 3 receivers if you knew Chase Daniel was the quarterback?
No, not at all. No, but I wouldn't.
My other option is Corey Davis with Joe Flacco, so it's not like it's much better.
There's got to be something on the wire better than that. I don't know,
man. I picked up Corey Davis. I thought I was sharp because the Raiders announced that Josh Jacobs is not traveling at first. So I pick up White. I'm like, all right, I can plug him in. And then Jacobs is traveling and he's probably playing. So similar situation. But talk about this game, man. Are you crossing it off just due to all the uncertainty? Jacksonville, pretty good defense. Chargers, I think. I said this last night. I don't know if you agree with this. You probably won't. But I think the Chargers defense is actually better than their offense, at least right now. That defense is legit.
They're amazing, yeah.
Yeah, they're really good. They bring the pressure. So I think they go in and they get – I think Trevor Lawrence is not that good. I know we played him week 1. He paid off. Christian Kirk's looked good. But I'm not going to Jacksonville. This is pretty much a stay-away spot. I don't mind the Chargers defense, but they're expensive. And a lot of question marks here. So if you want to skip over this game or if you got some hot takes, go for it. But not too interested from a DFS perspective.
No, I mean, Jacksonville's defense is going to be insanely popular too. So in terms of GPP, watch that a little bit.
If Herbert's out, that kind of makes some sense.
I just think they're going to manage the game so well. It's going to be tough to score a lot of points from a defense.
I agree. Now, Nick, you're close to this part of town. I know you're not a Green Bay. Are you a Green Bay fan or are you a Bears fan? I don't even know, man.
No, Green Bay would be my team, but ever since DFS, I've kind of just slowly
rooted for your money.
It's who am I invested in that week is kind of my team.
Money's more important than
I'm a Bengals fan today. Bengals and
go.
Chiefs fan today.
So let's talk about this game. There's so many question marks. It's hard to kind of talk about this game. We don't really know who's playing for Tampa Bay right now. A lot of question marks. So with the uncertainty, I don't even know how you want to break this down. It's a later game. It's tough to peg this game. we assume. What are you assuming first right now from the Tampa Bay side? Like, who's going to be on the field for Brady to throw the ball to? The only person I got pegged in my lineup right now is Leonard Fournette. That's all I want right now. But maybe you got something. I don't know if you're rolling out Scotty Miller or Cole Beasley or Brashard Perryman. We're waiting on Julio Jones news. We probably don't get it before, these 1:00 games lock. So it's kind of difficult to play out this game right now. But what's your thoughts?
Yeah. I mean, Leonard Fournette is going to be the number 1, 2, and 3 option in this offense. I do like Scotty Miller. Got a ton of targets last week, but the game kind of called for it. This game's going to be gross. I think both Packers running backs are kind of sneaky because they're also their main threats, but Allen Lazard's finally healthy. If this game goes up pace, I don't like his price at $6K. I figured since he hasn't done anything yet this year, they'd put him in like the 5,200 range, and I'd love him there. But $6K is a lot, so I'll probably not get there. Scotty Miller, I guess, is a pivot from Matt Collins. I like Matt Collins more than Brashad Perryman. Brashad Perryman's now like 15 to 20% owned.
Yeah, no, thank you.
This game's just gross. As much as I don't want to play a 25% owned Leonard Fournette, I'll probably play a lot of them just because, again, Brady goes to guys he trusts. What are your thoughts on Cam Brate?
He's not like
getting all the snaps. And
I don't know, man. I'd rather play, if you force my hand on a Tampa Bay receiver, if Russell Gage is in, I think that's the guy I'll go to. I prefer. Look, I would prefer the other tight end in this game. I would prefer Tanyan. I think he's just slightly safer than Brate. Brate's not really that involved at this point. Look, I can see him scoring a touchdown. He's probably touchdown dependent. But I would say I would lean Tanyan over Brate here. I just don't know, man. I really don't know what to expect from Brate. I think that $100 extra, I'll go with safety over a guy that might pull out a goose egg at the same time. So I'm not like totally against Brate. I'm just not in love with it enough to say I take him over Tanyan at the same price. Question here, though. Let's get to a question again from David here. A.J. Brown, Amon-Ra, or Pittman. You can easily get all three. They're all in the same spot. They're wide receiver ones for an offense that going to need, passing, at least Amon-Ra and Pittman. It's too close to call for me, man. I like all three of them. I don't know. I'll put the pressure on you, bro.
I would lean them in the exact way that he posted them. A.J. Brown first, Amon-Ra second, Pittman third.
There you go, man.
I'm not playing solo Pittman. I just want Pittman in that KC game if it goes nuts. It goes nuts.
No thanks on the next guy, man. The next guy being Kyler Murray. That shit that he pulled last week, great. Kudos to him. But I would not want to be.
I had a lot of money on Arizona, and that was the worst bet I've ever made.
Yeah.
It worked, but they had no business winning that game.
Yeah, no business winning that game.
No business.
And, no business for anybody in that game to hit value. And I'll tell you this, man. Aaron Donald will not let that happen. He'll put Kyler Murray in the ground if he starts running around like that because he can actually stay with the dude. So I think it's going to be a bad day for Arizona. A.J. Green, Nick, you have a better chance of catching a ball. Like, I don't know what happened to this dude.
Good hands. Yeah,
I got good hands too. Like A.J. Green, he makes that tough catch, but he's like dropping balls all over the field. I was never a Hollywood Brown guy. I don't see them really hanging this game. I think the Rams are a good bet here as well. Cooper Kupp, definitely in play. Stafford Kupp combination, I think, is a nice little play to have. Allen Robinson playable. Higbee, I called it last week when you guys are talking. I think he's involved as well. And I'm staying away from these running backs, on both sides. I don't want to touch the Henderson Akers. Look, one of them might go off for 16. 16 is not enough for me. And then on the backside, I don't care if who plays, who doesn't play. I'm staying off the Connor if he plays. And I'm definitely not going to either of these backups if he doesn't play. So for the most part, Arizona a fade for me. Zach Ertz, though, only guy that I think is playable from the Arizona side. And you can throw in Greg Dortch. At that price tag, you don't need much. He's a guy you can get in the game. Nick, any other way you're looking at it and how much Stafford exposure you have? Because I think in that mid-range, he does bring some value. You know where he's going the ball. 6,500 on DK. He's cheap on FanDuel as well. He's coming in 5%. Arizona's defense is terrible, and I think McVay will not stop kind of like the Raiders stopped. Stafford's going to keep on chucking it, and Cooper Kupp will be open the entire game.
Love this game. This is my third favorite team to stack. So right now I'm grading Cincy, KC, and the Rams. Just simply off of ownership. Obviously, Buffalo on paper is a better stack. Philly, arguably. Minnesota, I would say I'd rather have the Rams. But my whole focus to start this DFS season was picking on the Arizona Cardinals defense. It didn't really work out last week, but like you said, people just forget immediately. It's like, oh, okay, they shut down Devontae Adams. I'm not playing a ton of Cooper Kupp. Cooper Kupp's the most sure thing in fantasy sports in any sport. Like, he's probably a better, I don't know, DFS NBA or anything like that, but like Cooper Kupp has to be the best fantasy sports athlete in the world right now in terms of consistency and upside. But what I love is that Arizona's been playing a lot of man defense. Allen Robinson's great against man defense, so I will be double stacking Cooper Kupp and Allen Robinson, running it back with Zach Ertz instead of pairing Higbee in there. Higbee's going to be like 10% owned. I get it. He's super involved. Arizona sucks at covering tight ends. I just don't want to do the common thing of putting Higbee in with Kupp. I want to do something different with more upside. Like, if Stafford does go for 35 points, that's probably what we need when there's Josh Allen and Jalen Hurts and Patrick Mahomes on this slate. Like, we need a monster game of like 320 yards and 3 scores, hopefully 4. Cooper Kupp's getting his. So the higher upside, in my opinion, is clearly Allen Robinson over Tyler Higbee. And then running it back with Zach Ertz. If you could fit Hollywood Brown in there, that's fine. He just hasn't really done a whole lot, and he will see more Jalen Ramsey. Greg Dortch is okay as a run back if you want to, but Zach Ertz will get 12-plus targets if this game gets if this game gets back and forth. I worry about Arizona scoring, like you said,
Yep.
But as long as the Rams aren't going to take their foot off the gas. So if the Rams can go up 14, 17, 20 nothing early, I think that Zach Ertz is in for a field day. And as long as Arizona could sneak in a touchdown or two, that'll keep the Rams passing. And with no ownership, I think this is probably your Millie Maker type of stack, as Cooper Kupp's going to be in there. And everybody's going to be like, well, I took the savings on Diggs for $200 or $2,000 less. I think this is the best stack on the board in terms of GPP leverage against the field, because Arizona's defense is that bad. As long as Kyler can do something to score with the Arizona Cardinals, I think this game will have a ton of shootout ability here.
Stix, we're both in legal betting states. You're in the fine state of Illinois. I'm in New York. Rams smashing it today to make up for that money you potentially lost last week on Arizona.
I won.
It looks too easy, right? Oh, you won that bet. You should have won.
Arizona covered. I had no business to. I had covering and money line. It was the worst bet I ever made. I feel terrible about it.
Yeah,
I'd give the money back if I could.
Yeah, I'll take it. Don't worry. Thoughts on the Rams here, though? Do you want to double down and go against and lay that free money that you won against? Can the Cardinals really hang in this game? Like, how do you see them hanging?
Every sportsbook that I value right now open the line at 5, and it keeps going down. Like, you're seeing 3.5 and 3 now. Yeah, so I don't understand how the books think Arizona keeps it close. Their defense is terrible. And their offense looked terrible too. And James Conner banged. I don't know. It seems like a sucker's bet, but I kind of want to buy the dip now. If we can get it to 3 flat, or if you could buy a point or buy the half point to get it like minus 120 at the Rams, even that sounds disgusting. Like, that doesn't sound like something I would ever do.
Yeah, it's not like you're going in. You're not going into like a shit out of them. Yeah, you're not going into like a hostile.
I'll do it if you do it.
Arizona's not hostile. It's like, this is a place where you can get it at 3 right now at PointsBet. Most spots is 3.5. So, you know what I might do on PointsBet? I don't know if you realize, but PointsBet has an option where you can like go against the spread, and you kind of like calling it an alternate line. So you bet the -3, and then you kind of, if it runs and they win by 20, you get all that upside. So I might go ahead and do that on Arizona. I think that, I don't know. I just don't think they hang in. I think McVay sticks it to Kingsbury and just pushes it down his throat, tries to get Akers and Henderson involved late. I like the stack. Now, you might like this. You might like this. You might not like this. My bigger single entry lineup right now, going, balls to the wall here. Marcus Mariota is my quarterback, paired with Drake London. How crazy am I for this matchup against Seattle? I'm not running it back on Seattle because I just don't. I know some people talking Kenneth Walker. Some people like Penny. Some people think Metcalf. Yeah, I'm not playing that game. I'm just going for, hey, I can get a quarterback wide receiver combination that has rushing upside from the quarterback, has target upside for the wide receiver. He's a clear-cut number one receiver on this team, and they're playing ahead, behind, whatever, they're getting points. London, Mariota. I'm paying $10,000 for them combined, I think, or something pretty close to it. Maybe $11,000. Super cheap combination. Mariota $5,500. London is $5,800. So it's 11-3, but super cheap here. Thoughts on that stack? And if you're running that stack, are you running it back with anybody in Seattle, or are you just fine with saving some money and loading up in other spots?
No, I'm cool running it back. I actually love Kyle Pitts. Kyle Pitts
is Brian.
wait,
hold on. Is Brian messing with us or no?
Drake London is not out.
He's not out, right?
No.
If you're just putting bad info in there.
Kenyon Drake is
out. But why do you
Drake
London out? I don't know. We'll see about that. But I haven't heard he's out. Kamara's in. Jameis in. Thoughts on this game?
I like Rashad Penny a ton. It's gonna be gross again. Don't expect a whole lot. But it's just a pivot off of a 20% owned Dameon Pierce. I know we saw a little bit of Kenneth Walker, but 60% of the carries, there weren't many carries because that game got out of hand. Rashad Penny's aggregated touchdown odds in my model are even money. So I like Penny at 1%. I think you could run it back to with DK Metcalf or Tyler Lockett. Lockett's probably a lot better against the zone defense, but I really like Kyle Pitts too. I think you can kind of full on go with this game if you think there's just no defense on either side of the ball. So Kyle Pitts is going to be under 10% owned at 4,800. I know he hasn't done anything, but at 4,800, I think I'm going to buy. But Drake London at 5,800, he's in my main lineup as well. Nice, I have that back and forth of him and Penny in my main lineup right now in high stakes. And
if you want to,
it's first or last. Like Penny may do absolutely nothing, but I do not love Dameon Pierce for anything outside of cash. So I'm going to play Penny. The props are almost identical. The touchdown odds are almost identical. Penny's passing prop is a little bit better than passing game props a little bit better than Pierce. I like it. I like Rashad Penny.
Nick, I want to add a little segment to the show right now that you guys haven't done yet. I'm going to go lightning round. I want you to answer all these questions. I'm going to go good chalk, bad chalk. I'm going to ask you a couple players or a lot of players. You tell me good chalk, bad chalk. And I believe somehow, some way, actually, let's go to this game. We somehow forgot the Chicago-Houston game. Maybe because you're in Chicago. I figure we're
David Montgomery and Dameon Pierce, the only people we're going to talk about.
Yeah. So let's talk about them. Good chalk, bad chalk. Montgomery, Pierce. Montgomery's coming in as the highest owned player on the entire slate. Over 20% owned here. Is this a guy that you're going to be calling good chalk or bad chalk when this is all said and done?
I think it's bad chalk if you're playing both together. If you're in Pierce, I'm going to say bad chalk. I like him in cash, but Montgomery's going to get fed the rock. I'm okay with playing him, but instead of pairing him with Dameon Pierce, I'm going to pair him and Fournette. I'm going to pair him with Miles Sanders. So just make sure when you're building your lineups, if you're doing Fournette, Montgomery, you better get weird elsewhere because everybody's going to start with that combo. In fact, even the trio of Dameon Pierce, Fournette, and Montgomery. So Fournette, I made a rule. Oh, go ahead.
Fournette, good chalk, bad chalk. It's good. Come on. Just say good. Make me feel good.
All right. He's good because he actually has upside. Montgomery has a little bit of upside. Dameon Pierce, I worry about. So Dameon Pierce, bad chalk. But if you're playing Fournette and Montgomery, everybody's doing it. You better get different. And you got Diggs in that lineup too, don't you? You got the three nut chalk players on the slate.
Irv Smith, good chalk, bad chalk. I'm going to leave bad chalk. All right, we're good there. I'm on Ross St. Brown, good chalk, bad chalk.
Bad for me.
Joe Mixon, I don't even think he's that chalky, but I guess he is.
Yeah,
good chalk, bad chalk.
Ride him. Ride the
Bengals. I ride Mixon. Miles Sanders, good chalk, bad chalk.
Great. He's only 10% owned, I'm seeing, so that's not bad.
Yeah, I see him anywhere from 10 to 15, somewhere in that range. Justin Jefferson, he's not really too chalky, but he's going to be one of the higher owned wide receivers here in that game. Good chalk, bad chalk.
Great. Yeah, he's fantastic.
Looks like big news here, or somewhat big news. Both Gabe Davis and Knox are active here. So, Josh Allen, probably pretty good quarterback this weekend. He's got all his weapons out there. Allen's another guy similar to Mahomes you can rock naked. I think he's in a situation that he'll go out there and score some points. Kamara is active. Next thing, Nick, let's answer some questions here, man. Let's go here. We got Swift, Dylan Moore, or J. Will, Aaron Jones, and Wilson.
Swift, Dylan Moore.
Yeah, then that one's pretty easy. Would you double stack Allen with Diggs and Gabe Davis, or should I pivot Davis to Drake London?
I think if you're playing Josh Allen, you double stack it because everybody's just going to play Allen Diggs. And if Gabe Davis does anything, you play him. Okay, Xavier Howard, Xavier Howard will see a ton of Stephon Diggs. Stephon Diggs still can beat him, but his game splits against Miami are not impressive.
You might be talking me out of Stephon Diggs. I might have to slide him out. Season long, 1 point PPR. I need two of these guys: Zeke, Miles Sanders, DJ Moore, London. I kind of go chalk
Miles
here.
Sanders and London for me.
Yeah, London, Miles Sanders, pretty easy here. I don't think Zeke's a terrible play. DJ Moore has a terrible quarterback and a tougher matchup here. So I agree with you. Sanders, London, the way to go here. This is a question I'm not going to answer. You can
whatever fits. I'm asking myself the same thing. Whatever fits better for you.
Yeah, look, that's super tough, Nathan, man. They're both in the same spot. We don't really know who the wide receiver one is. They're both fighting for it. So it's tough, man. Maybe you can split up your lineups if you're talking DFS and make one lineup with one and one with the other. Sorry, just really tough. This is similar to that, but I lean Metcalf here over Lockett. But I've had troubles over the last 3 years getting this Metcalf Lockett question right because it's like every other week the other guy. You gotta lean here, Stix?
I like Lockett just for the savings. $300 actually means a lot to me this week. I'm sure most of you guys are getting the same way with your builds. So if it gets me off of like a Dameon Pierce or off Fournette to get something different at 300, take the savings with Lockett.
All right, Stix, favorite stacks, man. Who do you got? Who are you leaning on for your single entry builds, and who are you leaning on for your GPP builds?
Bengals, Chiefs, and the Rams.
There you go, man. I'm with those. I think the Bengals, great spot. Chiefs, great spot. Just reiterate, if you're going with the Chiefs here, are you going Mahomes naked, or are you going Juju, Kelsey? Who are you lining up in that stack? 'Cause I think that's the most difficult question when you're talking Chiefs, where we used to have just one option, it's either Kelsey or Hill, but now it's kind of muddy there. And the price tag on Kelsey, if you're wrong on Kelsey and he underperforms, it's a tough thing to climb back out of at 7,900.
Yeah, I think what I'm doing, I'm going to do one with Juju and Kelsey in there, running it back with Pittman, and then one maybe just with Hardman or naked with Pittman and Jonathan Taylor as the run back. There
you go. Stix, Millie Maker. Who's going to be in it? Who's going to be the one guy that's going to be low owned that, it's going to be sub 5% that goes out there and kind of breaks the slate and is on that Millie? I'm here to answer the tough questions, man. I'm bringing the pressure. Ghost is chilling right now. I'm bringing the pressure to you. Who's that under 5% owned quarterback, wide receiver, running back, tight end, wherever you want to go? Let me know who it is.
I gotta think. I mean, ownership's great. Elijah Moore, 2% owned. Or McCole Hardman.
Don't say Hardman, man. Stick to Elijah Moore. You gut play. Cordell Patterson, I never played this dude, bro. I really never, ever.
He burns us many times.
Yeah, it's like the opposite of Cooper Kupp. Like, you don't want to play Cooper Kupp because everyone was playing him last year and he just goes out and smashes every week. But like Patterson's on the opposite end. Like, nobody plays him. He's sub 5% owned and he goes out there and smashes. But I'm off of Patterson. He could go out there again. Good matchup, decent matchup against Seattle. But I'm not messing with it. Stix, bets that you got locked up so far, whether it's props or game totals, what bets are you looking into tonight?
I have a lot of props on the sheet here. Probably one. I did go Detroit, Minnesota under 53.5. Where else do we got? I got Trevor Lawrence under 22.5 completions. Okay. Marcus Mariota over 208 passing yards. A lot of these prices are gone. Stafford over 264 passing yards. Aaron Rodgers under 22.5 completions. Tom Brady under 23.5 completions. Rashad Penny over 48.5 rushing yards. I think that's at like 51 or 52 now. So I like that the steam's going that way. And then Tyler Conklin over 3.5 receptions and Goddard over 46.5 reception yards.
Yeah, I got Joe Mixon over 20.5. I got
I
Corey
like
Davis
that. Yeah,
over
I like Mixon there.
35.5 receiving. I think the Ravens win pretty easily. I know that line looks a little fishy. Same thing with the Rams. I think both these teams win a little bit easy. My survivor play, I'm probably going chalk, sticking to the Chiefs. Eagles in a good spot. Minnesota, a little bit scary. I also don't mind the Niners, in that late game. I think the Broncos are not that good right now, and you're only getting 1.5 on the Niners there. So I like that play. Any bets that you're making straight up against the spread or money lines?
I'll do that Rams -3 with you just because we talked it in on the stream.
I don't want no hate text when Kyler Murray runs for like 150 yards
No,
rushing.
I know what I'm getting into. I like the Rams there. Let's do cash game plays and GPP plays and get out of here.
All right, go for it, man. You're the leader on cash.
Cash quarterback, I'm going to go with Josh Allen, GPP, Patrick Mahomes, and then
And
obviously
Burrow.
you like Stafford and Burrow too. So that's my guys.
Yeah.
How about you?
Cash games, I think I agree with you. I think Josh Allen good, Mahomes good, Jalen Hurts. Any of those three guys work for me. From a GPP, I think Burrow, Mariota are the first two guys that I'm leaning on. I think Stafford as well.
Cool. All right, running backs. Yeah, probably play all three in my opinion is what I'm going to do, and I hate it, but Montgomery and Fournette for sure. I'll let you guys make a decision on Dameon Pierce if you think it's worth it or not. GPP, I still think the ownership is low enough to where I really like Miles Sanders, and then honorable mention to Michael Carter, Devin Singletary, and Rashad Penny.
I'm going to switch it up a little bit. I'm going to try to fade this Montgomery chalk, even in cash. I know it's not the best thing to do at times, but I want to go with Joe Mixon. I just think Mixon, that volume has to hit one of these days. I know it's only been 2 weeks,
Yeah,
but that
I love it.
volume is there for this dude. There's nobody behind him. If this Jet game outpaces, you saw what Nick Chubb did to the Jets. I think a similar show for Joe Mixon here. All the volume, receiving yards as well, and the touchdowns will come against the Jets. So give me Joe Mixon and Fournette. For GPPs, I actually got sold on your Singletary call. I think that's a great play. I think on top of that, outside of Singletary, on top of that, Sanders, GPPs still works. I'm not ready to do Penny or Kenneth Walker. I know a lot of people are on that game. So for me, give me Miles Sanders and Singletary, a little bit. I guess Mixon is lower owned too, so you can fit him in. And if you want to take a shot on somebody, I think Dalvin Cook could go out there and have a big game too for GPPs.
Okay. I'm not playing Eckler, but that is a fantastic GPP play today. Just didn't fit for me, but that is a fantastic play. Cash wide receivers. I'm not playing Diggs because I will play Josh Allen. I'm going to say Tyreek Hill.
Ooh.
Who else did I really like? T. Higgins. And probably just going to play Matt Collins at 3,300 because it gets me off of Irv Smith. I'm not playing a cash game with Matt Collins and Irv Smith together. I think that is a walking landmine. The people are going to do it. So if you're doing that, just know what you're getting yourself into. It may burn down bad, and you don't want to do that in cash games. So I will play Matt Collins because I do not want to play Irv Smith in cash.
Yeah, I think in cash, Hollins and Pittman are in a great spot there. And Amon-Ra, even though he might be a little bit popular, I think at 7,200, the price is right there. You really, for what he's been doing in that matchup, I think the price is right there if you want to come down off of Diggs. And for GPPs, I'll go first real quick. I think Devontae Adams, with everybody loading up on Hollins, I think Devontae Adams in a great spot from a GPP standpoint. Outside of that, Cooper Kupp is still, he's 11% owned or 12% owned, wherever you see it. I think he makes some sense. Drake London, love him. I think he's even cash viable too at 5,800 if you need a guy. AJ Brown, like that as well. And if you want to go out on a limb, I think Juju, if it's not Kelsey and it's not Hardman, Juju could pop one this week.
Okay. I'm going to go with Jamar Chase. I do love what you said about Devontae Adams. I think that's a fantastic spot. I'm going to go with Elijah Moore because, again, that's what my main lineup needed. So I will play that. And then punting down, I do like Hardman a little bit. I don't know. It's ugly down low. Like Matt Collins and GPPs, you probably shouldn't do that. Yeah, I'm just going to go with Jamar Chase and Elijah Moore.
There you go.
Because you already talked about Devontae. I love Devontae too. Cooper Kupp, obviously. Ride it if you could afford him, play it. Cash tight ends. Probably just Dallas Goedert or Zach Ertz for me because I can't afford Kelsey in cash, and I doubt many of you guys can, unless you punted quarterback, which you probably shouldn't do. GPPs, I will go Kyle Pitts and probably just Kyle Pitts, maybe Zach Ertz, and then again TJ Hawkinson's getting a ton of work. I don't know. I just don't love that game.
Yeah, I think cash games for me. I'm not playing Irv Smith. I'm not even going to play him in GPPs. The price is right, but ownership is way too high on Irv Smith. I think from a cash perspective, Ertz and Hawkinson, fairly priced, won't really burn your line of 4,200, 4,600 if you can't get up to Kelsey. For GPPs, I think Kelsey is still coming in too low owned. He could have a monster game here if the Colts keep it close. GPPs as well, Waller in play, 5,800. But the guy that I'm going out on a limb, I'll put it out there right now. I say Hunter Henry outperforms Irv Smith at $100 more. So if you want to get off of Irv Smith, I think Henry's in a great spot here at 3,200. I might, when I get off the show, I'm going to be looking at his player props. Something's telling me he's going to go out there and have a big day here. So give me some Hunter Henry shares and GPPs.
I like that. Yeah, that's great. But good luck to everybody. We greatly appreciate the support and good luck in week 3. That's all I got. Right on an hour too. Love that. Great show.
There we go, man. Stix, good luck, man. Let's win some money on the Rams. I'm betting the Ravens and Millie Maker. Everybody heard it. There's at least 100 people here heard it. If you win $1 million, $100,000 goes my way. Sure. We're good to go on that. Signed, sealed, delivered. We are out of here. Good luck in week 3, everybody. And enjoy some time with your family.